Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk Cities of Sigmar because they got some brand new Warcry rules sneakily released on Warhammer community on the 10th. There was an update to all the Cities of Sigmar stuff that came out from the latest release, updating the new book and all the new rules for Cities of Sigmar, and it has changed drastically on what we sort of think of when we think cities. Before, when we had Cities of Sigmar, we pretty much chose a city to be from. That was one of the main ones. This included Anvilgard still at the time. It had Hallowheart, Living City, Hammer Hall, Tempest Eye, etc. And now, what in this one, we have sort of changed now that we've got effectively Castellite hosts. We then have Elf and Dwarden. So we have three sort of separate races rather than a singular Cities of Sigmar thing. And so this is interesting because it does mean it changes up. It means there's no more mixing elves and humans, at least without, using allies and stuff like that, which I think is a little bit disappointing, and that's really disappointing in the Cities of Sigmar battle tome in general. I think the lack of ability to freely mix, which we've all wanted for the army for so long, but it isn't a thing in this, and so we're going to go through all the three different sort of forces, talk about the abilities, talk about some of the characters, and yeah, just give you our thoughts on it all. And so, to begin with, first of all, we have Cities of Sigmar Castellite hosts. Now, this is essentially the human faction, as you would guess by the Castellite rule. Obviously, we have the Castellite formations in a normal Age of Sigmar. Now, we've got a reaction for Castellite Wall. A fighter can only make this reaction if they are targeted by an attack action, but before the hit roll are made and they are within 3 inch of another friendly fighter with the Bulwark and or Elite rune mark. If the other friendly fighter has the Bulwark rune mark, add 1 to their toughness. If the other friendly fighter has the Elite rune mark, for each hit roll for an attack action that misses, allocate 2 damage points to the attacking fighter. If the friendly fighter had both Bulwark and Elite, apply both effects. So this is pretty solid as a reaction. The bonus to give you some extra toughness and also allocate damage back. Bulwark plus Elite fighters, they're going to be what we're going for, really. And then we have 2 sets of abilities. Here we first of all have our abilities for the basic sort of fighters. Double for Sigmar charge. This is obviously for our cavalry. We can see the cavalry rune mark there. What this does is anything with a mount and that's not yet activated, you can activate that fighter immediately after this fighter's activation. This is pretty cool because it's going to be a leader ability as well. So essentially this is going to be the cavalry hero, and he's going to declare it and allow, extra sort of characters to fight. The fact this is on a double as well is really nice. Normally things like Inspiring Presence and all of those sort of abilities are triggered on triples or higher, so a really solid ability for the hero there. Castellite formation, this is once again a hero, and then we've got the Bulwark rune mark. Until the end of the round, you add 2 to the toughness characteristic of friendly fighters while they're within 3 inch of this fighter. That is really solid. Bonus 2 toughness, and we'll get looking at the stats later, but 2 toughness on anything, even 3 taking it to 5 is massive. Rousing Speech, this is used by one of our fighters. Until the end of the battle round, you add 1 to the attack characteristic of melee attack actions by Castellite faction rune mark fighters within 6 inch. You won't even miss it. You pick a visible enemy fighter within 3 inch, remove up to D6 damage points allocated to that fighter. Nice healing, like D6. Can be swingy, but is decent. For a double, that's interesting though, because obviously you're going to swing. I think this is an interesting option here, because obviously if you have the double here, you can roll for it. If I have a 1 or 2, I'm probably using this and rolling. Otherwise, I'm probably just using Respite if I do have that high 4+, and just guaranteeing I heal the 4, 5, or 6 wounds. Triple for Take Aim. Until the end of the battle round, you add 1 to the damage points allocated from each critical hit from ranged attacks made by friendly fighters with both Castellite hosts and the Elite rune mark while within 6 inch. I do like that this is just on criticals. We definitely don't want to see this on full sort of shooting models, on their regular. So it's a solid triple. A lot of people will look at it and go, oh, why is it not on regular damage? But it's probably a good thing it's not on regular damage. And then triple, 2 mini warriors. Enemy, each friendly fighter with Cities of Sigmar Castellite host faction rune mark within 6 inch can make a bonus move. They must end closer to this fighter. This is really cool, especially late game if you're trying to, say, outrun your opponent, just get away with treasure and stuff. These sort of abilities can be really good. Now we move on to some of the other ones we've got access to. We have the triple here for Tune of the Corpus Somni. Roll the number of dice equal to the number of friendly fighters with the Cities of Sigmar Castellite faction rune mark that have been taken down and or have one or more damage points allocated to them. For each roll of a 4+, add 1 wild dice to your saved wild dice. This is pretty cool. Like, getting extra wild dice is really good, and you can sort of affect this in quite an interesting way because you do have some cheap sort of throwaway fighters you can definitely do this with. Blazing Weapons, Castellite Host, again, picking one with 6 inch, and you can allocate 2 damage points to the target fighter. Each critical hit from the next melee attack action made by them. So pretty darn cool. And then Sinister Spymaster, roll 3 dice. For each roll of a 4+, your opponent must discard 1 wild dice. This is a really cool quad. Something really, really different. Making your opponent discard wild dice is not something I've seen a lot of. In fact, I don't think I've seen anything that affects wild dice like these two sort of can, giving you extra and taking them away from your opponent. Quad for the Dawn. Until this end of this fighter's activation, you add 2 to the move and the attacks characteristic. And then enchant weapons. Till the end of the battle round, you add 1 to the attacks characteristic of attack actions made by friendly fighters while they're within 6 inch. A bunch of really solid abilities. So let's go have a look. And first of all, like here we have a bunch of our characters. So we've got the Free Guild Marshal, and he's got 3 different options here. All 20 wounds, defense 5 on the shield, which I think is a big swing in the shield's favor. The other one I'd be looking at is the heirloom weapon. I think, the pistols are cool and all. Strength 4 at range is nice, but I think there are better shooting things we can take. For me, I would probably, with just the abilities, considering he gets the bulwark and the leader ability, I don't think your leaders in this force are generally going to be big, heavy damage dealers. They're going to make your city stuff around them do more. So I would probably be looking at the shield there for the extra defense. Now, we then have the Cavalier Marshal, who I think if you are going with a Cavalier force is really fun. At 255, he is pricey. 26 wounds, defense 5 though, and strength 5 is really nice. That's going to serve a long way in the force. Strength 5, as I always say in any video about Warcry, strength 5 is massive. It's going to allow you to really hurt some of those stronger warbands. We then have the Arcwhite Warforger, who's obviously going to be able to give some extra power, and the Battle Mage as well. 120, 125 for them. It's funny that they're pretty much the same points as they are in Age of Sigmar. But really, really cool models. I think, for me, I really like the Battle Mage. The Arcwhite Warforger is cool, but I do think the Battle Mage, just giving extra attacks is nice. We then have the Free Guild Command Corps Arch Knight, and we've got all the members of the Command Corps, and it should be noted, only the Arch Knight is actually a character, or a leader, a hero, whatever you want to call them. Hero is the proper word. The rest are all just regular fighters, and of course you've got the little Gargoylean beast there as well. These are really cool. I really dig some of the abilities we get with them. War Surgeon and the Soul Shepherd, I think, are really, really good. Even, the Free Guild Command Corps Great Herald, I think, for me, this would be something I would build my force around, is probably taking most of the members of this. Maybe not Little Gargoylean, but if you got 50 points spare, he's a cheap little model. We then move into our other sort of leader models. These are just sort of like the unit champion options. The Battle Priest is a unit champion, just of note, and so is your Sergeant of Arms. Fusel Sergeant, and we get, a sort of look here at some of their stuff. So, for me, let's sort of look at what we've got here. And we've sort of got, their base counterparts next to it. Then we've got the Fusel Major and Ogre Warhawk, who is really, really good. We have, looking at them, I'm looking for strength 5 over most of these fighters, and it obviously just looks at the Fusel Major and Ogre Warhawk. That's strength 6 in combat, 3-4 on the damage with 3 attacks, 35 wounds, defense 6, and even strength 4 at range. I think he is going to be an auto include in most of my warbands. I think of combining that with some of the stuff we get in here is really nice. considering, you do have some decent fighters up here. Strength 5 on the Arch Knight is really solid. And even the Great Herald for Strength 4, 2-4 on the damage is nice. Now, looking into like these other fighters, Steel Helms, Fusiliers, Cavaliers, Flagellants. Flagellants are dirt cheap at 60, but I look at that 60 and then I look at a Free Guild Steel Helm, and the difference is massive in what I'm getting. Now, it might not sound like a lot. You actually lose an attack on the Steel Helm, but going to defense 4 with 10 wounds is huge. And also gaining the Bulwark rune mark there. I would never take a Flagellant over a Steel Helm. They're just so much better. Now, Fusiliers are double the points. Strength 4 at range, though, is no joke. A lot of range in the game is only Strength 3 and even lower. Getting some really strong range like that is nice. Defense 5 of them as well is really solid. Same as the Cavalier. It'd be interesting. I want to see how many Fusiliers I can fit in. But if I am going to go shooting, like the Fusil Major and Ogre Warhawk just offers such a more versatile piece. And he's only about 2 Fusiliers and way more wounds. So, you could take 2 Fusiliers or you could take the Ogre Warhawk. I'm probably taking the Ogre Warhawk over that. And so, all in all, like, what am I thinking my warband probably looks like here? With some of the abilities, I'm thinking, we have, obviously, since the Spymaster and all that, Blazing Weapons. Tune of the Corpus Somnite, I really like, which is a fun ability that's going to be connected over here to the Soul Shepherd. We've obviously got the Spymaster who can help with the reducing our opponent's wild dice. I think if I was picking another hero here, I think it's that Free Guild. Do you need the Free Guild Marshal, though? Because you've got the Arch Knight there as well. But, yeah, you do need the Free Guild Marshal. I think you probably take that Free Guild Marshal. I think he's the one. And if you're trying to take a second, maybe the Battle Mage is probably my way to go to get some offensive power in there as well. But we will have some videos coming out looking at building some warbands for all of these later in the week as well. Now, moving on, we then have the Cities of Sigmar Darkening Commons. This is something close to my heart. Everyone knows I love my Scourge Privateers. Cutthroat Strike, though, as the reaction. A fighter can make this reaction when a visible enemy fighter within 1 inch of them makes a disengage action, but before that fighter moves away, roll a dice on a 3+, you allocate d6 damage points to that enemy fighter. This is pretty cool if you can sort of pin your opponent in lots of fighters. They don't want to be in the fight. It really sort of traps them in because d6 damage points can be swingy on what it can do. Now we do have a variety of different ability. First of all, Merciless Raiders can only use the ability in the first battle round, but until the end of their activation, you add 2 to the move and add 1 to the attacks. This is really cool. Not so much the attack. Like, you're probably going to overstretch if you try and get into fights and do attacks, because you're just going to get swamped back with how Warcry sort of works. But adding 2 to your move, like being able to get that step ahead, is really nice on like treasure and objectives and stuff like that. Executioner Strike allows us to add half the value of the ability to critical hits. Nice. Swift Disengage. You can only use it if you're an enemy. You can make bonus disengage actions. Always solid, allowing you just extra maneuverability. Steel and Sorcery. Until the end of the battle round, you subtract 2 from the damage points allocated by each hit and critical hit from attack actions that target this fighter while they're within 3 inch of a friendly fighter with both the Darkened Covenants and Mystic Rune Mark. Nice. Form Shield Wall. This is cool because it allows you with a Bulwark and Covenant to get some bonus defense. So you form a Shield Wall until the end of the battle round. You add 2 to the toughness characteristic of friendly fighters that have this, which is really cool. So your leaders can sort of issue that, which is nice. Triple for Cavalry Charge, doing some damage when you hit your opponent. Volley of Shots, getting some extra ranged attacks. And then Vitriolic Spray, something we all know and love. Pick a visible enemy fighter within 3 inch and roll a number of dice equal to the value of this ability. For each 2+, allocate 3 damage points. In addition, until the end of the battle round, halve their toughness. This is a really solid quad. Yes, it does mean you have to get really, really close, but that's solid. If you get a quad 6, get that Sorceress that's going to have this right up and close. Now, looking at the fighters, obviously we've got the Sorceress. Her big thing is going to be Vitriolic Spray. But the one here that I really like the idea of is the Lordling. Like, being able to use him as a little bulwark in the center of your force is decent. I think he's going to be a really solid little piece. The Drake Master, you're probably just better off getting regular executioners there. You drop an attack, but you're saving a ton of points. Guard Master, he could be interesting because he does allow a volley of shots to go off. And then you've got Captain of the Black Guard as well, and Dread Knight, which is all really cool. So down here we've even got some of the other fighters. We've got some of the secondary characters as well. Black Ark Fleet Master is, okay. I'm looking to try and see if we've got any sort of higher strength, and we really, really don't. The Assassin, I think, is just meh at that. Dark Riders can be really nice, 150 for some really swift disengage. And your Corsairs are dirt cheap at 60 points a model. But your Bleak Swords are even cheaper, and they've got Bulwark. I'd probably be taking, same as the Dread Spears actually, even. So looking at Dread Spears, like defense 4, 8 wounds, 2 attacks at 3, 1, 4. I'm looking at them compared to this. 1, 3, but 4 attack, strength 3. The lower defense is massive though. I'm probably looking and thinking Dread Spears and Bleak Swords are the way to go. Probably with some Dark Shards. And you're probably needing some higher strengths from somewhere. Like, you are going to struggle with strength in this warband. So I think at that point you're probably needing some of the strength 4 in here. Which means you're probably looking to take, the executioners are only strength 3. So do we have any strength 4 at all? Outside of characters new. So at that point, like, are you taking a Fleet Master or 2 for some strength 4? Comparing them to like a Drake Master. He does have the Executioner blow, probably taking the Drake Master. But like, that's a character, so that's sort of taking your spot. So I think you go with like the Lordling for your sort of form Shield Wolf, your defensive parts, your Drake Master. Yeah, it's going to be interesting on sort of what you want to do with these. Really lacking some high strength in the warband, without a doubt, for your elves. Now, moving on to the Dispossessed. We then have Grudge Bearers. So a fighter can make this reaction if they're attacked by a melee attack action. After damage total, but before it's allocated, if it's enough to be taken down, you can make a bonus move or bonus attack. This is pretty cool. Really nice sort of stuff. Now we then have the abilities of Grimlast Stand. Until the end of the battle round, just subtract 1 from damage points allocated by hit and critical hit to his Dispossessed rune mark while within 3 inches of this fighter. That's a really nice one. Over my dead body until the end of the battle round, the fighter counts as 2 additional fighters when determining who controls an objective. That is a really, really good double. That can be game winning. Like, 2 models, especially in warbands, like, it can be massive, especially if it's on, like a decent tanky fighter and it's available to any Dwarven model. So, like a Lord that's not taking damage, slap that on him and he is going to probably win you a game. Back in my day, you can add 1 to strength. Good, we got extra strength in there. Kingsguard, we can add 1 to move, and also add 1 to their attacks while they're nearby. This is pretty cool because it's just going to allow us to get some extra sort of power while we're nearby our hero. Stand Together is another bulwark one. What this does is you can make 2 bonus move actions. After those move actions, the fighter must be within 1 inch of this fighter and cannot make any more move actions. That's really decent, like as a double. Just being able to get stuff near your characters to protect them. Now we don't have Forge Fire. You can pick a fighter within 9 inch until the end of the battle round. You add half the value ability to the strength. Once again, like, extra strength is massive. This is just straight away making the Dwarven look so much better than the elves, which is a bit sad because I am an elf man, though my little dude will be happy because he really likes dwarves. Raking Fire, add half the value ability to strength. Range attacks getting strength is good. Once again, like, this is just nice. They're solid, I think. We'll have a look at the fighters in a sec. They may be the best of the lot. Fearless Leader, each fighter with the Cities of Sigmar Dissess rune mark can make a bonus move. And so, we only have a few fighters for this. So we then have our Warden King, which is really cool, and the Rune Lord, the 2 main characters we have. We then have the Longbeards and Hammerers as our main fighters. So lots of strength 4 here, even some strength 3. Not a lot of it, but defense 4s and 5s across the board. They're pretty darn tough. Like 12 wounds as well on 85 points with defense 4. 3 attacks to strength 4 when you can buff up their strength really nicely is good. I really dig the Warden King for 145. 4 attacks at strength 4 to 5. His ability to get some extra strength is good. But moving on, we then obviously have, some interesting pieces to add. We have the Cogsmith here, who's going to be able to, be another fighter and has strength 4 range. But for me, it's the Gyrocopter and Gyrobomber that are going to be really nice pieces. They've got 10-inch and 12-inch movement, which is massive in Warcry, and of course fly on them. We do have strength 5 in there for the Gyro Bomber's Bomb, which could be really nice just to have, some guaranteed strength 5. But then we've also got the Grudge Hammer Torpedo on the Iron Warden as well for some guaranteed strength 5 and at range as well. So I think a Bomber and an Iron Warden with Grudge Hammer is probably like a solid couple of takes. And then looking, to maybe take some other sort of standard things, a Warden King, probably the Rune Lord, and then some basic sort of fighters for your warband as well. But I do like the Dwan. I think they are solid. The Elves, unfortunately, I think get the short end of the stick. Their lack of high strength is really going to hurt them. In that, and like bodies just don't do what you think they do in Warcry. The Hunters for Wanchi are key sort of purpose of this. They struggle even when they outnumber 99% of the other warbands. But what are your thoughts on the new Cities of Sigmar rules? What are your favorites? What are some of the things you're going to take? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And so that's the end of the video. We hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below letting us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our great little community here, we have a Discord server linked down in the video's description, and also linked down there are the best ways to help support the channel as well. Our Patreon and YouTube members down there are fantastic ways to help support the channel, and if you'd like to get a shout out like all these people, you can go and join up today. So with that said, we'd like to give a shout out to all our Patreon and YouTube members. So thank you to our Patreons, Rob B, Broken Chef, Andy C, Grimscold, Colorblind Magic, Benjamin Swallows, James Cater, Mark Harvey, Domir, Average Wargamer, Q Damak, Andrew Bowen, Outer and Shot First, Kenny Lowe and Soren, and to our YouTube members, Green Roots Gaming, Ronya, Lock Lorick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, James Tillman, Disco, John Castle, and Gargamel196. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe everyone, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. Ciao for now.